All right. I think we monkeyed around with this.
All right.
Let's give it a shot.
Can I have? I think I'm host, but can I have count us in?
What?
You sure you don't want me to?
Do I suck at counting?
No, apparently at least you count the right way.
And 3, 2, 1.
Backwards.
Oh, hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the Bourbon Boys. We're just 4 dads who like to sip bourbon, pontificate on life. All right, hello, everyone. Let's try that again. Pontificate.
Hold on, I've got to go pontificate.
You got to go pontificate. Hey, not at my table. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Oh, I better count us back in. Kurt, you want to count us in?
I'd love to. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the Bourbon Boys. We're just 4 dads who like to sip bourbon, pontificate on life, and share a few laughs. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy it. And if you do enjoy, please give us a good rating on our podcast so that we stay in the good graces of the podcast gods. Well, gentlemen, welcome back. Thanksgiving was last Thursday.
Yeah.
Everybody looks a little healthier and a little larger. Everybody had a good holiday, I hope.
See, I'm fat.
That's what I heard.
I think you're just
Jolly.
fine.
I think I'm saying we're all
Just
fat.
jolly.
How about that? So real quick, before we jump into tonight's episode, one favorite memory from Thanksgiving. Kurtron.
Wow. We went to our friends down in Charlotte who just bought a new townhome there, and it was great just celebrating in somebody else's house.
Amen.
Amen. Having just gotten back the day before. So I would have to say my favorite... Yeah, I think just seeing our friends.
Good enough. Do?
We were lucky enough to have all 4 kids and a fiance and a dog spend quality time together at the beach. So
Awesome.
Yep.
Big Burmese mountain dog, right?
big Bernie's mountain dog.
Big
Yep.
hairy dog in
He was
the water and sand. That had
He
to be
was
awesome.
fantastic. He was so well behaved.
Orson.
Yep. Big
Orson.
boy. Orson. Pushing 120.
He's a handsome fellow
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
Attaboy.
Got a lot of good looks.
Attaboy. Krat?
I think probably my favorite memory from the day was my dad had all of the grandkids making pies, and so ever since they were little, he would kind of team them up, and they would have baking competitions. And so this was like the grandkids doing bake-offs of apple pie. It was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Oh,
That's
How
awesome.
many apple pies did you have at that point?
There were 3.
Okay.
Oh, they're all the same
All
pie?
right.
No, all 3 different pies, but they're
Oh,
all apple
okay.
pie. And so he then judged on, the characteristics of, the aesthetic of the pie, the taste of the pie, all the stuff. Yeah, it was good. But there was no bourbon
That's
cream.
a
Derek.
great idea.
That's okay. That's all right. You had a lot of minors there, right?
Yeah, it didn't stop some
No?
of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was good. It was a good day, for
I
sure.
like it.
Excellent.
Elton?
Lots of good memories, a lot of good time. Very low key holiday for us, just a lot of family time. But I would say, got a call last Sunday before Thanksgiving from my daughter who's in college, South Carolina. And usually when Kami calls in the middle of the day, there's a story that follows that sometimes puts a lump in your throat. But in this case, she was just calling and say, "Hey, is it okay if I just skip class on Tuesday and come on home and start the holiday today?" So got a couple of extra days with Boo.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
So she asked if it was okay?
I think it's one of those, let me float this out there and make sure that I don't
Wow, that's pretty good. I
yeah.
don't think mine asked. They just show up.
They just show up.
Yeah.
So I gotta layer on. So my niece Casey came down from Pittsburgh and spent the week with us, which was really nice. And some of you got to meet her. So that was actually pretty special because our daughter was in Europe at the time, so she wasn't home.
Oh, that's right.
But we don't get that one-on-one time with them very often, so that was cool.
Yep. You got to meet her at the bonfire.
Yeah.
It was a very nice, very nice lady.
Yeah.
Young lady. All right, guys. So tonight we're going to look ahead to Christmas and holiday gifts for the friends who enjoy bourbon, a starter bourbon for someone who may be interested in trying, and considering bourbon as a gift for a coworker. So while we're talking gift ideas, we've added some pretty new shirts to bourbonon.com. We all think they're pretty clever, but you be the judge of that. So go out and take a look. But anyway, that's our plug for the night. But we got some good bourbon in front of us. I'm very excited to try the George T Stagg, which was won via lottery. So very excited to hear that story and to give that a taste. Basil Hayden and Maker's Mark whiskey. So, ready to get started, gents?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Tell you what, why don't we, let's just jump off from the top rope and try the Stag first.
Going right at it.
Let's go right at it. And, Craig, I think you were the one who was able to get your hands on this bottle. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So, we live in Mooresville, North Carolina, in Iredell County, and they have a little bit of a different lottery system than some of the other parts of North Carolina. But your local ABC store will take your email address, and when they get special releases like this particular bottle, if your name is drawn, they will call you, and you come in and they go in the back of the store and they come out with a bottle and hand it to you. And my wife got all excited when I won the lottery because she thought I was getting a free bottle of bourbon, and I had to explain to her, no, I was fortunate enough to receive the right to purchase a bottle of bourbon, and she's still very.
Oh, really? That's how it works.
Oh yeah, she's still very.
I love it.
Still very, very confused by that. So,
hey, congratulations, you won.
That's right.
An
It's a
expensive
prestigious
bottle of
award.
bourbon.
and it's expensive, but the concept is pretty cool because you'd hate for somebody that doesn't really understand what they're getting to buy something like this and put it into a bottle of Coke and have a
Because we really understand what we're talking about.
yeah, it's not that, you know what I mean. But anyway, so I kept getting this phone call. It was popping up as Mooresville, and I was ignoring it. And finally, they left a message, and so I called the guy back. He's like, "Hey, you won a bottle?" I was like, "What'd I win?" He goes, "I don't know. Just come by and get it."
Just get it off my
Yeah.
shelf.
So I went and
Bring your wallet.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so it was pretty cool. So
That's one way to solve traffic. Just call people. Say,
Yeah.
hey, congratulations, you won the chance to buy a refrigerator.
Right.
that's right. Come get it.
Come get it.
Come get
and
it.
Pay for it.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, there was literally
And
a
we'll
part
deliver the wrong one to your house.
as they handed the bottle to me. I literally almost just walked out the door because it was kind of like you were so excited about winning something, and then I was like, "Oh shit, that's right, I got to pay for it." So,
You're just not fast enough.
no, I just wasn't fast enough.
Well, of course, they
Don't make eye
recognize you.
contact.
Yeah.
That would have been a great story in the Mooresville Times. Man wins bottle of bourbon but steals it in the process.
Then they'd be like, Norm stole the bottle. That's right. It's in here all the time.
Don't worry, he'll be back.
Norm. I love it.
Now,
So
that's not on our list. Like I was just going through the several hundred I think that our list is now.
no, this one. So this is
Yeah.
done by Buffalo. And they started in 2005, and it is a fall release. It's part of their antique line, I guess, if you will. But it's bottled for about 15 years. It's 114 proof, so it's got a 116.
0.9.
Yum.
Wow, Kurt. Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
But it's got a little bit of a bite.
It does.
It does have a little bit of a
Yeah, I told Kurt to cowboy up. When he
Yeah,
took a drink
and
of it
I
over
understand why.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
But
it
this is
nearly knocked me back in my
16.9.
chair.
yeah, this one you get about 4 or 5 sips down, and it really starts to taste
Yeah.
good.
I would agree.
And Al and I were talking earlier. You can taste the barrel in it. And I think that's definitely from it sitting for as long as it has. But lots of
It's almost 59% alcohol content.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So,
good. It's got a when you
Uncut,
first poured
unfiltered.
it on the nose, it was very, very ethanol-y.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very. But now that it's sitting here, it got some nice cherry flavor.
That's just because you can't smell anything anymore.
My nose hairs are all burned away.
Yeah.
Exactly. It actually is. The first sip was a kick, but
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you. You're a couple sips in, it starts to get really smooth.
yeah. Lots of caramel.
Lots of
Yep.
caramel.
I get the caramel.
I smelled kind of an amaretto when I just to the nose. It had a little bit of a
You get like a nutty.
kind of, I guess. I don't,
It's possible. I think that do you know what the mash bill is?
or
on?
almost a cherry.
I don't.
Like
Okay.
I don't.
I'm gonna guess higher on the
Cherry
rye.
on the nose.
Yeah.
cherry on the nose. Yeah.
yep.
So maybe that's a little bit of the amaretto. Maybe I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Some of the amaretto could be vanilla too.
Could be, yeah.
So spicy, peppery, definitely there.
Especially on the first.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
first hit.
Yeah. So
It's good.
yeah.
Yeah, the peppery's not. I can't remember. What do we have last time that was pretty strong. Was that the new riff?
I don't know. Don't you listen to our podcast, Elton?
Touche.
It was the new riff.
It was. See, and I was right.
You were.
Bite my ass. So, all right.
It's that,
So this
it's
is-
that sassy episode 9.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
one you've been waiting for.
Exactly.
But yeah, so this one, I when I got it home, I had to put it in the case and look at Sarah and show her the bottle and say, Sarah, this one we don't open.
No,
And there were
Sarah.
a couple of times where she was really trying to go for it. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
So, good
So
call.
anyways, want to save this one for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see. But I would definitely, if you guys are in Iredell County, give your email, or actually don't give your email address. No, give your email address to your ABC store. They'll put you in the system. Mecklenburg County down in Charlotte has the same. Theirs is a little bit different, where every month they'll send an email out. Basically asking for people to respond that they want to be in the lottery, and they actually list the different bourbons that are in it. So like the December bourbon, they had Pappy in it, they had some other things. And then they will actually call you.
Yep.
That's
So
very cool.
the lottery is Iredell County wide. It's not just your specific
Alton,
ABC store.
I think it's your specific store, because there was, I mean, literally I handed them a piece of paper
Yeah.
with my email address on it. It wasn't
Yeah.
like it was going into some big database or anything.
So when you're in there tomorrow, will you confirm that?
Make it sound like I have a problem.
Or you work there. I'm not sure.
Tomorrow, he's probably like, "Can we get by there
Yeah,
before
no,
9
exactly.
tonight?"
They're shutting down. They're shutting down. All right, I like
It's-
how much was it?
That was 106.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for
Yeah, that's
for that.
the, that's
Thanks,
the
Dave.
most.
Thanks
That's
for the lottery.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I hope you win again.
Maybe like a Pappy or something like
yeah.
that.
And apparently there is a it's a Stagg Junior. It's not George T Stagg, but it's Stagg Junior. And it's a shorter stout bottle. I'm assuming that it is somehow related to this particular release, but it is not aged as long as that one.
Okay. You think it's a blend
I like
of
this bottle,
Yeah.
actually.
leftovers
it's
and
a blend.
remnants?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
This one's really good. I mean,
It's good.
in thinking about like the gift giving aspect of this podcast, that's a very generous gift.
Yep.
But for someone who knows it and appreciates it,
Yep.
I think that buys you a lot of. Can I borrow you a snow thrower?
Yeah,
With the
yeah.
neighbor.
Or the other thing too, I thought about this is one where if you've got a business relationship and you know that you're working with somebody that's a big bourbon fan,
Yep.
to be able to present something like that to them as a gift
Yep.
could go a long way.
Especially if you can expense it.
So
Yes.
any media companies out there?
Where's the
listening?
heart in this conversation?
Yeah, don't
Hey,
give
let's
you in
expense
trouble,
it.
Derek.
There.
No.
Yeah,
just
right.
suggesting. Yeah.
Jeez, we all got a bottle.
No complaints. No complaints.
That was all right.
That's cool.
That was a good start.
That is a good one.
Maybe I should have saved that till last.
Well, we can always come back to it
All
too.
right. I think we will.
Yeah.
I think we will. All right, gents, makers or Basil?
Well, if you want to keep with the gift giving at work, let's do the Basil.
All
So Basil
away.
Hayden, and I'm actually wondering if it's Basil or Basil, because the namesake is originally from England and came over here, settled in the Virginias, and then found their way as a family. Kind of got kicked out of the tribe. Found their way to Kentucky, where they started to distill with whatever resources they had available. This went dark for a while, came back in the early 90s. Family revived it, same recipe. It's got a great taste to it. It is, they say, it's on the lower end of punch. It's an 80 proof, so you're not going to get the kick in the chest like you got from Stagg over here. But the mash bill on this thing is a little bit higher on the rye than it is than what we're used to. So we've got something here. This mash bill is 63% corn, 27 rye, 10% malted barley. So you're going to get a little bit more of that spice, both on the nose and in the taste. Interestingly, with a low proof like 80, it's going to finish quick. Mm-hmm. It's not going to hang around. It's not going to sit on your tongue like George T Stagg here. It's going to go away pretty fast. But it's a under $50 bottle bourbon, and as a small batch, makes it somewhat unique in that it's a small batch coming off of the Jim Beam family. So another Beam purchase, now Beam Suntory. And we know Beam as producers of some other bigger names like Knob Creek and Booker's and Baker's, but this one is in homage to Meredith Basil Hayden Sr. And he tended to like the rye a little bit heavier than the corn. So
they have a rye version too.
They do. They have a few, like a double rye. They've got a dark rye.
Yep.
So lots to explore in this particular space. But this coming in under $50 is actually a pretty good company and corporate gift, because usually you start to hit the $50 to $75 threshold of I have to report it after over a certain amount. But this one I think sneaks in the building and sneaks out in your bag. I don't think you have to share this with the team. So this is one where
sorry team.
Sorry team. Cheers to you.
If you've got someone on your team or a colleague or a partner that you've been in the trenches with throughout this past year, this is a pretty good one to work with. It's got a interesting copper band around the belt here, so it's got a little bit more presentation in a bottle. Good gifting bottle. I actually think I gave you a bottle of this for your 50th.
You did.
So this might be one of my go-to gifting bottles as far as like the presentation, the quality, and the spend.
Yeah.
But what are you tasting, and what do you get on the nose?
Go ahead.
I was going to say a little toffee.
Yeah.
A little toffee smell.
I was going to say toffee caramel. Listen, this is so one of my, I say my favorites. It's just a really smooth bourbon.
Just a go-to bourbon,
It's
for sure.
very much a go-to. I think, especially for somebody who, if you don't know their tastes in bourbon, or if it's somebody new to bourbon, I think this is especially a good one. But this one I think is an easy one to drink, even like summertime. Like I think it's a really nice. Like I look at the George T Stagg that we tried. Like that to me feels more like a winter bourbon. Not that they're classified winter or summer, but like I can't imagine sipping this in the middle of a 90-degree day.
That's I'm snowed in with no power.
Right, exactly. Whereas I think the Basil Hayden and still happy.
You're not going to freeze to death, though.
Yeah, but I think the Basil Hayden is something more of an all around. But it's super smooth. I like it.
I like the Basil Hayden. Actually, it's funny you gave it to Kurt for his 50th. I just gave it to a guy at work for his 50th. Or actually, I bought it and we drank it together, but that's a different story.
That's what's about.
Actually, the whole office drank it with him. I never noticed before the bottle actually has no printing on it or etching. It's all based on this paper label or whatever paper label and the copper band. I never realized
seal.
that.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Well, its pants will never fall down.
And his pants were never. Oh, don't be sure about that. And now we, what did we have? Was it Old Granddad that was the grandson of Mr.
Yep. So Old Granddad is it was named after Mr. Hayden, and his grandson Raymond B, probably Basil Hayden, founded this one, the Old Granddad, and in honor of his grandfather. So on the bottle, there's a likeness of Basil Hayden on the bottle to give you a sense of what that old man looked like.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is interesting, though, tasting this after the George T. Stagg. It's a little flat.
Yep.
But, I mean, again, you would never drink one then the other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just between the two of them, it's like this is just super smooth. It's like
very
very
smooth.
little pepper, if any.
Yeah. It's surprising for the high rye. Like I kept expecting the bite.
Little bite, yeah.
But I think with the low proof high rye seems to have balanced it out. It is very, very smooth, and they say it has like no finish. Like it doesn't. Yeah. When you think back to the George T Stagg and the long finish and the long like tingle on your tongue.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's nothing here in Basil Hayden, so it just super smooth and goes right away.
Yeah. I got it's interesting because I get a lot on the nose like a licorice, and I hate licorice.
Okay.
But you get none of it on the taste.
No.
It's very,
you don't.
It is very light.
Yep.
And good. Yep. So I wouldn't.
They say that you'll get on the nose you could get spice, you could get tea, you could get peppermint, and on the taste you're going to get spice and like a white pepper. But
I don't get any pepper.
I don't get the pepper on this.
Yeah.
Like I said, maybe it's because of George Stagg numbed everything, but
It might have.
yeah.
It might have, but this is. I think this is a good, solid bourbon. It's readily available. Like
Okay.
I haven't struggled to find this one
Yeah.
on the shelf. Some reviews I've read have said that at $45 a bottle, it's not worth it. But I don't know. It's not a bad. It's not a bad bourbon. I don't know what they're expecting for that, but
Yeah, actually, I thought it was more than that, and I bought it a couple weeks ago, so it tells you how close attention I pay. But the presentation is nice. If you're on the way to a party and you forgot to bring a bag to wrap it or whatever, like I said, it's a nice presentation.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And its pants won't fall down.
I just got a copper belt for crying out loud. Never goes out of style. Never goes out of style. All right. All right, we're 2 for 2, so Kurt, don't screw us up.
2 for 2. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Well, listen, we're not going far from the family tree on this one. So, so I bought Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and as you know, it's in a little bottle. And the reason I bought the little bottle, not because it was less expensive, but because I bought it more so for somebody as an introduction to bourbon. So if you think about gifting somebody something that you don't know if they drink bourbon, or you do know that they don't, but you want to introduce it to them, it's a smaller, it's not as intimidating, but also if they don't like it, it's not as much of a waste on their end.
is that a 375 milliliter?
I believe, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it still has the same presentation as the large bottle,
Yep.
all the key characteristics of a Maker's Mark, which is the red wax. So anyway, that's why I selected this one. This ran probably about $17.
Okay.
So, fair priced, I think, for the smaller bottle, but in any event. So Maker's Mark, I know we talked about the 46. I can't remember if it was last time or the time before. Or did we not talk about
That was
46?
the one you brought back from South Carolina, right?
Yes, that's right.
That was the RC6.
RC6.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we haven't done Maker's Mark 46 yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well, in any event, moving on.
Don't you listen?
So, Maker's Mark was started. Actually, they started distilling Maker's Mark in 1954. So, similar to others that we've talked about, they have gone through so many different acquisitions and sells and buys and so forth, which included getting to the Beam family, which now is owned by Beam Suntory. So, same family, kind of same distillery.
Sure.
So as of 14, they actually were owned by Suntory Holdings. That's pretty much kind of the rough history. But here's kind of the interesting thing about this one. So Derek, to your point, you don't like rye. So Maker's Mark is actually unusual in that there's no rye used as part of the mash bill.
None?
There is 0 rye in the mash bill. And so instead, what they use is a winter wheat, which is about 16%, along with 70% corn, and then 14% malted barley. So we pretty much have two different, we have a wheat, a corn, and a barley. And what is interesting about this is that he had a bunch of different mash bills that he wanted to explore, but he couldn't afford to actually distill all of them to see which would actually work better. So what he did is he baked 7 loaves of bread, each with a different mash bill, and used that as a means by which to create, to test the taste. And from that, he actually made the decision on which mash bill he was going to use. So
That's crazy.
yeah. So crazy, but smart. And you're going to take a picture of me reading from the document.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do. So he looked at a bunch of different recipes. And then from there, so Maker's Mark is aged for about 6 years. I think that's equal for all of their different bourbons that they make. And they're also one of the few distillers that actually rotate the barrels from the upper to the lower levels in the warehouses. And what that does is it varies the temperature. So if you think about when you look at where the barrels are stored, if you go into a distillery, the upper and lower levels have different temperature variances, et cetera. And that actually, the rotating of the barrels ensures that the bourbon in all the barrels has the same quality and same taste. So if you kept the barrels up high, and you kept the other ones down low, the taste actually would vary depending on
Temperature,
and so
humidity,
forth. So they rotate their barrels.
Okay.
which I thought was kind of interesting. The other thing they talk about is small batch. So do any of you guys know what small batch actually means?
I don't
I'm not
dare
going to
say
try and
yes
answer
at
it
this
now.
Well,
point.
no, I asked because I always see that. And I
No.
always,
Is this the quiz part?
no. Well, we're getting to the quiz part. But no, I just found this interesting, right? We read these things, but we don't necessarily think about it. In small batch, you think about small production, which that is part of it.
Or a wee little bottle.
That's right. So most producers will say small batch, but they don't necessarily clarify what they mean by that. And so to Maker's Mark, it's a definition where the bourbon is produced and distilled in small quantities of approximately 1,000 gallons or less, equal to about 20 barrels, from a mash bill of around 200 bushels of grain. So they actually define what they actually consider a small batch. So
So you're saying it's a small batch from ingredient too,
That's
like
what
a very
yeah.
limited grain.
Yep. Limited
And then
gallons
limited
and
production.
limited grains. So yeah, so if you think of the quantity of the
interesting.
barrels and also the quantity of the what it's composed of. So what's more interesting is that the logo, all the branding, the name, and the wax seal was actually created by Margie Samuels, who was the wife of T. William Samuels. So, and it was introduced in 1959, of course, after a number of years of distilling. They started distilling in 1954. Here's the test, or the quiz.
I'm ready.
So,
Blue.
what is different? What is different about the name on the bottle? So, if you guys want to pass that around,
The font is smaller than the big
it
bottle.
has nothing to do with the font.
But Kurt, to be clear, that answer is correct.
I know the.
It is correct.
You know the
Yeah,
answer?
I know the answer, Kurt. Do you want me to bust your bubble?
yeah.
Or is that
Bust
you?
my bubble.
How do you spell whiskey in America versus?
Scotland.
Yes.
That's right. So they are one of 3 bourbon producers that spell whiskey in the Scottish form versus the American whiskey form, which is with an E.
Oh, I thought they were the only one. There's 2 others.
There's 2 others,
Oh, I did not
George
know that.
Dickel and Old Forester, which we've had Old
We've
Forester.
had Old Forester.
Statesman.
Okay.
While we're playing trivia, do you guys know how much a whiskey barrel weighs full?
A lot.
Approximately. A lot. That is true. Ding, 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 ding.
See, the second question I've gotten correct.
I'm going to go 436 pounds.
Kurtron?
You went on kilos?
Yeah, exactly. Look at that.
Scottish
Having just
kilos.
been to distilleries, I should probably know the answer to this question.
Yes.
437 pounds.
Playing that game now?
Bob Barker.
5'10".
5'10". Very close. I think it's about 525.
Yep.
Okay.
You think or you know?
Damn.
I read it on the internet.
Gotta be true. Facebook says.
That's right. It's that Al Gore.
So what is tell us, do you know more about the wax seal?
No, what I do know is that Margie created this, and she drew the label and thought up the wax dipping that gives the bottle its distinctive look. But there was
Okay.
nothing specific around the wax. Because I thought there was some story behind it, but
Is it edible?
it is not edible.
Okay.
Well, well, it's wax. I don't think it's going to hurt you, but each one is hand dipped, so it's every bottle
Okay.
is completely unique.
So that I
if
wanna
you look
see.
at them on the shelf.
So where do we have to go on our bourbon trip to see the hand dipping of the?
Yeah, I mean,
At
Where are
Maker's
they?
Mark. So
Are they in
Loretto, Kentucky.
the red?
my friend Jenna at work and her husband Clint just got back from the bourbon trail. They went to Makers, and there
nice.
was a picture of Clint dipping it in their little gift shop. I guess you're allowed
free
to have
labor?
a bottle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey, we just went to. This is something we should do. It's not bourbon related, but it's similar in the sense that it's about alcohol and distilling. So Panchenka winery that we went to in Portugal, they still stomp all their grapes barefoot
So gross.
as part of the process. There is no machine activation as it regards to the smashing of the grapes in their vineyard. So we got to go in. We saw all the big kind of bins that they use. They're made of concrete, and they line up 8 to 10 people and they have a stomping, and they go back and forth for 4 hours. They do 4 hour shows. Yeah.
Wow.
Are these volunteers or is this their job?
So this is a thing. If you go there at the right time at the harvest in August, September, you can actually volunteer to stomp the grapes inside their winery.
Can you take like a 15-minute shift, or are you up for the whole 4 hours?
I think you have to do the whole 4 hours. I don't know. I didn't ask all those questions. God, here we go with all these damn questions again. Seriously.
Well, that's a good follow-up question.
Yeah, exactly. Would you,
solid.
I think we need to go and do it. I think it'd be a blast.
I just wonder what I'm signing up for.
I'm in for the 15-minute to 30 max. 4 hours.
Not it.
It was
pretty
cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is cool.
So I like the makers. I know we've covered
What do you got on the nose?
spectrum.
Custard. Lots of custard.
Custard.
Yep.
You're getting custard, huh? On the nose?
On the nose. And custard. And not on the taste. And I normally like custard.
Okay,
but
so I'm with you. I don't often agree with you, but I
it's true.
smell it.
It's a
Yeah,
Christmas
you can
miracle.
smell it.
It's what?
It's a Christmas miracle.
It's
You guys agree? Agree.
I normally like custard, but I'm not a fan of this.
Yeah.
I don't know what custard
the
smells
taste,
like.
too.
You don't know what custard smells like?
It's kind of like an eggy vanilla,
Yeah,
right? Like an
eggy
eggnog.
vanilla. Yep.
We got to get out.
okay, but here's the thing to think about.
Are you trying to change my mind?
No. I'm not trying to change your mind. Trust me, I would never go there.
Smart man.
No, but if you go, hear me out. If you go back to why I purchased this one and the size, right? This is about introducing somebody into the world of bourbon. So imagine tasting this first time you've ever sipped bourbon.
Well, yeah. First time though, you have no idea how anybody is going to react to it.
I don't know. I'm not a fan. I think that for me,
It's just flat for me.
I think this is a rough intro.
Really?
But yeah.
I'm kind of digging it.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
on the other
Thank
side
you,
thinking
Elton.
about some of the other stuff like the bean we tried that was
Yeah.
close to this price point.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that, well, it's a half bottle.
Yeah.
So
I think starting from the top rope may not have been a great idea for me.
I know. We should have
Because it's like it's just so flat
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But
And I
again,
think maybe the
that's-
lack of
but that's-
rye.
But I think part of that is you because, well, it's all of us, right? Because we appreciate this,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right? The George T Stagg. We
complex.
appreciate that because it is complex. But for somebody who's never had bourbon before, if you gave them this,
ooh,
I
that
would
would knock
never-
them on their.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Knock 'em on their
That's-
ass.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
So the other, and I know we're talking about gifting here, but the other thing is like, I can't remember ever being at a bar where they didn't have makers as
Yeah.
an option.
Yeah.
Right.
that's
I
true.
can't think of anything else that's as universally available. So
I
if
would agree.
anybody is out, thinking about trying bourbon or getting into it, again, it's makers is a nice, safe bet where you don't know exactly what you're getting, but you also don't look like an idiot in trying to decide. So that's another aspect of starting with makers.
I also think that the present, kind of like the basil, right? The basil or basil, however we want to pronounce it, has kind of a nice presentation to it. I think the red wax is kind of a cool
It's signature.
feature. Yeah, it's
Yep.
signature.
Yep.
It is.
It's
It's not
signature.
just a standard bottle, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't care that you don't like it. I think it's a good choice.
No, that's okay. Taste wise, and maybe it was top rope down. That to me is a little harsher for a starter. I'm thinking back to the smoothness of the Basil Hayden, the sweetness of a TX. I think that those might be a softer intro. I guess when I think about
No, that's
starting
true.
with someone
I
with
see where you're
bourbon
coming
is.
from.
You always hear like it tastes like alcohol. It tastes like jet fuel, or it just burns. And I think
Which
a
is
good way
funny
to
because how does anybody know what jet fuel tastes like?
right, you don't want to know. I don't think. But I think what they're talking about is like that high evaporation, high alcohol, high proof, high burn, high spice. And as we've learned just in the past 9 episodes, there's this massive range of it. And I think, in my opinion, I would start someone with a smoother, softer bourbon that has less rye, maybe less of that bite, just to get them introduced to a different taste.
Yeah.
And then I think you can work your way up the bite or the proof to get to a point where you're like, now that's a George T Stagg. Like that's a high proof, high bite.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. If Data had made it, I wouldn't have agreed.
Dang.
But I think this. But I think
Take the gloves off here.
Herein lies the trick, right? I think what we're learning through all of this too, is that as we go through all these different bourbons that we've tried, the palate is very different on everybody.
Totally.
So, like the new riff, like I actually got around it. Like I was like, okay, this one's not bad. Same with Old Granddad. I was like, okay, you guys, I get you don't like it, but like I was kind of digging it a little bit. So, I think that's also the hard part, right? Because everybody's palate it's no different than beer, right? Yeah. Some people like IPAs, some people don't like IPAs, right? And so I think that makes it a little tricky. So, but I would agree with you. Like the Basil is a really good. It's super smooth. I think TX, be it a blended whiskey, is still super smooth, sweet.
Yeah.
I was expecting this to be a lot sweeter and even less bite because there's absolutely no rye in it.
Yeah, that's surprising.
What was the corn?
70%.
Oh, yeah.
So, probably why you're smelling the custard and the sweetness of it. But
I would expect it to be sweeter with that high of a corn,
and
if it's
no rye,
and no rye, but a wheat, and wheat I think goes to a nuttier flavor, right? Or is that malted barley?
I think that's the barley.
So wheat is going to get you a doughy bread,
so. Yeah,
a bread nose, or I didn't get a whole lot of that, but I think that may be one of our first wheat.
I think it is.
Blends.
I think you're right
in there.
Yep.
Right.
I think you're right.
I can't recall. I don't think
we've
past
had any
episode
wheat.
where we had anything that was non-rye.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It still counts as a bourbon.
Yep.
So in the world of peas, it's a personal choice.
Yes, it is. Well played. With a P.
With a P.
What are you shaking your head at?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a couple ways you look at it. It's a small bottle. Maybe Kurt, maybe he didn't want to buy me the full bottle.
No, see, I would pair that. Here's what I would do. I would pair that bottle up with 2 really nice glasses.
Oh, and accessories. That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Okay. Next P,
because the
presentation.
Exactly. Because I think
gonna be an
the glasses.
experience, Al.
No, but seriously, think about it. The glasses are always something that they can use, right?
I agree.
right.
I
So
totally agree.
make a mixed drink, do whatever.
Yeah,
so if albeit they don't like the bourbon, all right. So you
It's a
spend
good
$17
save.
on
Good
a
save.
bourbon.
Good save with the
You give them
accessories.
2 nice glasses, maybe some little cool accessories in there for mixing drinks, and
belt.
voila, you have belt to keep your pants up.
A copper. copper
You
belt.
gotta I thought he was accessorizing. Sorry.
No, but think about it. You could make a really cool old-fashioned gift thing with this,
Right.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that way, that's a kind of an introduction. It's kind of like drinking coffee with a lot of milk and sugar, and slowly you remove all the milk and sugar. Same thing, right?
Yep.
I'm 51 and I still have mine with lots of milk and sugar.
Yeah, well, maybe that's your problem, Dave.
All right, just to recap. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you brought up a good point about it. It is the season of gift giving, and if you know someone is a bourbon drinker and they already have a well stocked liquor cabinet of bourbon, all the accessories that go along with it, I don't think you can ever have enough extra glasses or unique glasses or monogram glasses or the different shaped ice balls or ice cubes or different
Or hell, throw some bourbon socks in there.
and bourbon
you go.
socks.
Bourbon
yeah.
socks. Maybe bourbon T-shirt.
For what you guys can see is,
Bourbon.
Where can I get a
Yes.
good bourbon T-shirt?
Bourbon.com.
this is true. This is true.
No, that's a good point. But
But I think that there are plenty of things on the side as far as accessories go for mixers or, like you said, the components of a good old fashioned or glasses, ice balls, T-shirts. That there's plenty out there for someone if someone is a bourbon fan already and you don't feel comfortable giving them another bottle of bourbon. There's plenty of things on the side that you could throw in there for gifts.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so we covered 3. I think they were good bourbons. The Maker's Mark got mixed reviews, but what I would say in summary,
No, it did not get mixed reviews.
Kurt, you're like on a different wavelength.
Not 100%. I didn't like
And I
it.
did read the text.
I didn't like it.
So
Just because they didn't like it doesn't mean it's a mixed review.
well, I think by definition that is what a mixed review is. So we got, if you got somebody who you're introducing to bourbon or you think may be interested in trying, Maker's Mark is a fair starting point. It's a good taste, but you could also throw in a bourbon glass or some bitters or something for an old fashioned to, give them a starter kit. We had Basil Hayden, which was a little more in the price range, $45 or so. So obviously somebody that you want to know that has a taste for bourbon and will appreciate that, but still reasonable there. And then you go all the way up to what we tried. Fortunately, again, thank you, Cret, for the George T Stagg. A little over $100, but it's a memorable taste and worth trying. So 3 winners at different price points, and we've covered some other gift ideas through other episodes, so we won't linger there. But I'm going to do last call a little different tonight.
Okay.
I could do the having a drink with Santa, but
It's the bourbon you're leaving out with the cookies.
I drink alone.
There you go.
Many
I like
times.
Nice.
Many times. But so you're always talking about planting seeds and hints for gift ideas.
Yep.
You guys get to plant a seed idea for the whole world, the whole audience to just step up.
Okay.
Question for you guys based on everything we've tried over the last several months. What would be the bourbon you would like to find under the Christmas tree?
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good last call.
Kurt,
I got mine.
I do too.
All right, Kurtron, start us off.
I'm going to go with Blade and Bow.
Blade and Bow.
Yep.
All right.
It's been a memorable year. I'm going down with it all the way.
You've been hanging on with that one. All right. Yeah.
No, I mean I really like Blade and Bow. I think it's got a great story, and I think it's a great tasting bourbon. It's not a George T Stagg or but I think that's what I would love. I just love the bottle. I love the key. I love everything about it.
All right, Liz, you're welcome. Do?
I'm going to go with Eagle. No, actually, I'm going to go with Rare Breed.
Oh.
Rare Breed was something that I've referred several people who have gone to or going to a 40th or 50th birthday party. I've thrown Rare Breed out there just saying that it is an underrated, feels like it's a highly commercialized brand, Wild Turkey. But the Rare Breed cut of that is something special. I think that is so far, that's been my favorite flavor of the year.
Kicking.
I'd agree. That was by far the most pleasant surprise. Like you said, I thought highly commercialized going into it, but a lot of good flavor.
Yep. I was expecting it to be like a small boutique craft distillery, and was blown away that it was Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
Like there's just a highly commercialized, but I think the rarity of it and the attention that they put into it gave it such a special taste. I'm putting that one under the tree.
Good call.
That's good. I'm going with Makers.
Yep.
Oh. The RC6.
Really?
All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think out of everything...
That was pretty good.
I think out of everything we've had, that's the one that, for me, had the most flavor. I don't know if it was the extra staves they had floating around in the mix or what, but I really like the RC6.
Very good.
Yeah.
And thinking back without doing any preparation for this, so you think if I was asking the question, I would have prepared myself mentally. I did not do that. But I would probably go, I really like the Rare Breed, but I would probably go to the Clyde Mays. Yeah. That was another one where somebody gave it to me to try. Early episode, but good flavor, just very consistent, very smooth. I would fall back to that in a minute and be excited about it.
That's good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what we didn't talk about was out of these 3, what will we give? Which one will be the pick?
Well, clearly we decided it depends on who the audience is, Craig. Kurt, take him away.
I'm going to go with the Basil Hayden.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think that is if I'm coming to Kurt's Christmas party, I'm bringing Basil Hayden. I think it presents itself well, tastes great, and it's kind of a middle of the road. It's not as special as a George T Stagg, but it is a good tasting bourbon, real smooth.
Yep.
Makers. If everybody else is drinking my
full bottle,
I would go with the grown-up bottle.
The Kurtron bottle.
Not the JV.
Not the leprechaun version. I'd go with a full 750.
Honestly.
Oh, it's good.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking about the bottle.
I'm with you guys on the basil. I think it's just, again, I think the appeal is pretty ubiquitous. It's just a good go.
Yeah.
The George T Stagg, fantastic bourbon. Love the taste of it, but you got to have somebody who really appreciates what they're getting, and likely either a very important client or a really close friend. Otherwise, it could feel a little ostentatious. But,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And you'd hate for that type of expense. You'd hate for that to be wasted on someone who couldn't appreciate the taste or is going to cut it with a 7-Up.
Yeah.
Or ice, which, by the way, I'm really proud of you guys.
Everybody's neat,
You
bro.
all went neat tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Golly, hashtag
We're just
maturity.
trying to be like
Love
you.
it. Yeah.
Maturity.
I will say on the Stag, this is one of those, a big investment if you get a shot at it, but this is nice to have in the cabinet for special occasions or the friend stops by or whatever.
Yep.
You're not going to drink 3-4 glasses of this,
Right.
But have a nice taste of it. This is a good one.
That's a milestone bottle. You
Yeah,
don't pour
that's a
a
good
glass.
call. Good word.
Yeah. Only pour a glass when you got a big milestone past you.
All right. When each of us retire, that's what we're getting.
Oh, I'm not stopping at that.
I thought he was going to buy me some Pappy.
Yeah, we're going up.
Well, you can never find the Pappy.
We'll find it.
By the time I
We got
retire,
plenty
you
of
guys
time.
better just get you boys just better get me diapers. Shit.
We'll get you a ride home.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I might be the guy behind the counter selling you the Pappy.
Well, that's good because then we have a connection.
Exactly. And we'll win our own lottery.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
All right, guys. Gentlemen, once again, a good episode. Good to be back together after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So next up will be Christmas just around the corner.
I know.
So,
Yeah, it's cool.
In the meantime,
Bourbon on.
Bourbon on.
Bourbon on, guys.
Awesome.